Doug has waited for this moment his entire life. As he walks through the halls of this extravagant office building in the city, he proudly sees his family name plastered on the wall. His father, the CEO of the firm, told him ever since he was a little boy that one day he'll be able to join the team. Well, today was his day. This was his moment. As he excitedly walks into a newly renovated corner office, he sees his name and his new title freshly engraved on the front door. As he makes his way to sit down at a gorgeous mahogany desk, his moment of glory is interrupted by the knock at the door. Doug jumps, reaches for the phone, picks it up, and quietly motions with a finger for the visitor to enter the room. As the man enters, he hears Doug yelling into the receiver with conviction, "Unacceptable, that is unacceptable. Tell Brian he has to have it on my desk by 5 p.m. or he can rethink his future at this firm." And as Doug slammed the receiver down, he turns to his visitor and asks, "How may I help you?" The man smiles and replies to Doug, "Sir, I'm from Verizon. I'm here to set up your phone." You see, Doug is undergoing a form of identity crisis. He's behaving in a way that might be expected of someone in his role or position, perhaps the way his father acted. But at that embarrassing moment, he realized that this is not who he is. It was disingenuous. He doesn't really belong here. And it was at that moment that he began to question all of his previously held beliefs. And he asked himself, is this who I really am? Is this who I want to be? Who am I going to be moving forward? Now, the typical response when you hear Doug's story is that his identity crisis is really a red flag, signaling his weaknesses, his immaturity, perhaps his inability to lead. However, if you think about it a little bit more, you'd see that this is possibly one of the most important moments in Doug's life. You see, because at this moment, Doug is able to escape the shadow of his father's work and be able to explore what it is he truly wants. Who is he really going to become? And what is he going to do for himself for the rest of his life? You see, identity crisis is not only a part of human nature, it is an essential component of a person's development. James Marcia, a developmental psychologist, formulated identity status theory. And in that theory, he suggests that people pass through distinct stages when trying to form an identity. The first stage, foreclosure, begins as a child who can't really form an identity of his own. So he's forced to blindly follow the traditions of his parents. Now, that doesn't result in a real identity formation, but it is important for the child to be able to have a set framework of expectations of how to behave. Sadly, there are many who are stuck in the foreclosure stage for the rest of their lives. According to Marcia, in order to really form an identity, a person has to then progress into the moratorium stage. And in this stage, an adolescent faces a crisis where he questions his beliefs until now. Who is he? Why is he acting in this way? Is this what he truly believes in? Why is he acting this way? Maybe it's because his parents, maybe because society. And what does he truly want? It is at that moment that the adolescent has to resolve his crisis by getting answers to his questions, by exploring, and by finding meaning in his lifestyle choice. Only then can he truly form an enduring and active commitment to an identity. Orthodox Jewry is facing an identity crisis of its own. According to a recent study conducted by the Pew Research Center, 62% of American Jews view Judaism as cultural and ancestral, and only 15% of American Jews view Judaism as a commitment to a religion. Additionally, 1 in every 4 Jews who are raised in a modern Orthodox home have since left Orthodoxy. These numbers are alarming. And it begs the question, why? Why are so many Jews leaving Orthodoxy when they reach adulthood? Why is it that we spend thousands of dollars on Jewish day school tuition, yet we witness so many Jewish graduates from these schools who have yet to form a Jewish identity of their own? Why is this happening? The answer to the question, I believe, is in that word, why. See, whereas previous generations, the youth have followed the traditions of their parents, either out of a sense of moral obligation or religious commitment, the youth of the 21st century is of a different breed. You see, with the pervasiveness of social media, advances of technology, and the influences of modernity, children are now entering the moratorium stage far earlier than in previous years past. They are beginning to question at an earlier age, why? Why should I be a religious Jew? Why should I daven in the morning with my school? Why should I keep kosher? And why should I keep Shabbos? They're constantly asking why. The implications of Marsha's study suggest that the crisis and the problem does not lie in the existence of such questions, but rather in our ability to address them. These students are stuck in the moratorium stage of crisis, eager to explore, anxious to form an identity of their own, with no resolve in sight. We need to be able to embrace that crisis, to be able to help them resolve their issues. Too often, students are scolded for misbehaving during davening or talking during Shemona Esrei, without the school ever programming time into the schedule to address their questions about tefillah, of why tefillah is important. Why should they daven? What is the meaning of the words? Too often, students in classrooms ask deep theological questions, and the teacher shoos away the question by saying, I'll talk to you about it after class, it's off topic. And these students walk out of class without ever resolving these important questions. Too often, students might violate a dress code, and the immediate response by the administrator is to make them change their outfit and put a demerit on their record, without ever addressing their perhaps unspoken question about the relevance and importance of modesty. I was fortunate enough in the summer of 2009 to be a teen counselor at a wonderful camp. And part of the camp's Shabbos programming was that every teen counselor would meet with their bunk in a specific location to teach them a little bit of Torah for approximately 30 minutes. I was super excited to come in with these engaging and dynamic lessons, and I was convinced that the campers were going to walk out different people, excited about Judaism, wanting to learn more Torah, not even wanting to leave for Kiddush. Yet I was disappointed to find that the students were leaving exactly the way they came in, uninspired. They may have learned a thing or two, but it didn't stick with them. And I was determined to find a way to reach them. And the following week, I decided on a different type of idea. I informed my campers that instead of the typical lesson, I'm going to have them submit to me one question, one burning question that they have about their Jewish lifestyle. When I went through all the questions on Thursday in preparation for the Shabbos lesson, I was shocked and surprised that more than 80% of the submissions contained the word why. And more than 60% of the questions were all the same, asking, why do we need all these restrictions? Why should I follow all of these laws? These students were mere weeks away from entering high school, yet they were still left without a Jewish identity. They were still left asking, why? We are facing a crisis of why, but the crisis is not that our children are asking these questions and questioning their Judaism. The real crisis is in our inability or unwillingness to address those questions, to embrace them, and to resolve their conflicts. As Jewish educators, we need to inspire and not just teach. Our students need to be able to explore their Judaism inside and outside the classroom, and not just be told what to do. As Jewish educators and parents, we need to recognize that instead of fighting the curiosity to explore and the question of why, we should embrace it, and not only focus on our children getting great grades on Judaic Studies exams, but also for them to be able to form their own Jewish identity that will last with them for the rest of their lives. The statistics look grim, but each and every one of us has the opportunity to create a brighter future for our children by embracing the crisis of why. Because within that word, why, is not the source of our weakness, but the foundation of our strength. Thank you.